Okay, members of the media, thank you for joining us today for our Zoom press conference. We are honored to have with us Mr. Danny Morrison, the Executive Director of the Charlotte Sports Foundation, along with Coach Neal Brown. We'll be talking about the upcoming Duke's Mayo Bowl on December 27th in Charlotte. And I'd like to turn it over right now to Mr. Morrison for an opening statement.
Great. Well, thank you very much and good afternoon. And let me just say, we're thrilled about this matchup. We think it's one of the best matchups in all of bowl season to have West Virginia and North Carolina, two great programs, two wonderful brand names. And we think it's going to be an exciting day here in Charlotte. Charlotte's a wonderful place to host. Park your car in uptown Charlotte, walk everywhere. Restaurants are excellent, nightlife, and so it should be a fun time. And we love welcoming the West Virginia fans to Charlotte.
Thank you very much, sir. Coach Brown, an opening statement from you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you all for being on. I appreciate it. Apologize about my voice in advance. It sounds a lot better today than it did yesterday. So I don't feel bad, but I don't sound very good. So I apologize about that. I'm in Vegas, so I apologize about doing this over Zoom. Out here for the National Football Foundation Awards, where Zach Frazier is up for the Campbell Trophy tonight. And this week and next are probably I don't know if the most busy, but one of the most busiest sections of the year for college football coaches. We've got player retention. We've got high school recruiting leading into signing day on December 20th, portal recruiting, and then we've got to get ready for the bowl game as well. So a lot going on. Really excited about representing the Big 12 in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Sunday was an interesting day, but I think it landed in a really good place. As you all know, large group of Mountaineers in the Charlotte area. One of our biggest alumni bases in Charlotte. It's a 6-hour drive from Morgantown. And so it's a great location for our fans, even closer for Southern West Virginians. So it's a great location for our fans. Quality matchup versus North Carolina, a team that was ranked for most of the year. A lot of respect for Mack Brown, what he's done in his coaching profession, how he conducts his business. A lot of respect there. And I was able to watch him on the flight out to Vegas on offense and defense. Haven't had a chance to watch much special teams yet, but on offense, one of the top 10 offenses in the country. Chip Lindsey's done a great job there. I think really balanced, a little over 300 yards passing, to almost or nearly 200 yards rushing. So one of the most balanced offenses in the country. Know their personnel well because we recruited a lot of those guys and didn't get them. I think Drake May obviously is going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, if not the first overall selection. So that's going to be a huge challenge for us. Marion Hampton, their running back, is a big physical runner. And he's played really well and saw him play in high school, and no surprise there. At receiver, Tez Walker, transferred from Kent State, is playing at a high level. And then J.J. Jones, whose dad obviously played at West Virginia. And so a guy that we really recruited hard, and happy for him for the success he's had. Hope he doesn't have it versus us in the bowl. But and then defensively, led by Gene Chizik, obviously a national champion coach, one of the top defensive minds in college football. The thing that sticks out to me is they mix their fronts up, and they're huge up front. Be one of the biggest fronts we've played all year. I think it starts for them with their linebacker, Gray. They do a good job blitzing him, bring him off the edge. He's their leading tackler, tackles for loss, sacks, really a high-end player. And then on the edge, Rucker is a guy that's had a lot of success rushing the passer. And they're a veteran group on defense. A lot of graduates, a lot of seniors. And in the secondary, they're really long. They got the guy Chapman that's a really good player. They got and several transfers that have stepped up and played well for them in the secondary. So, kind of brief update on North Carolina, really a quality opponent. We're going to have our hands full with them without any doubt. Here's our plan, just to give you guys so you got an understanding. This week is the last week of classes for our guys. and we're staying sharp. They're spending a lot of time with Coach Joseph, doing a little bit of football work, but we'll start practicing again on Saturday and Sunday, and then next week is finals week, and so we won't have football activities. We'll pick back up on Friday, and I don't have those dates. I think it's the 16th maybe, but we'll start really North Carolina prep there, and we'll practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, give the guys some time off, and then really get into our game week starting on the 22nd, and then we'll leave to come to Charlotte on the 23rd. And so that's kind of our plan. Again, excited about the opponent, excited about the location, and really the goals for us is to make this an enjoyable experience for our players and get a 9th win. And so that's it for me. So with that, I'll take questions, Greg.
Thank you very much, Coach. Members of the media, Mr. Morrison has agreed to stay on with us throughout our Zoom conference today. So any questions for Mr. Morrison or Coach Brown will be accepted. Please use the raised hand feature. And as Coach said, our first question will go to Greg Hunter.
So, Mr. Morrison, let's start with you a little bit. Obviously, the Big 12 was not part of the bowl contract for you guys. So give us a little bit of the Reader's Digest version of how this came about, when you started to get an inkling that maybe you'd not have an SEC team in your bowl, and how ultimately you got to WVU.
Well, first of all, the whole bowl season, you end up playing whack-a-mole almost every year. This one just had more of them. And so things worked out beautifully. Sometimes you make the sausage and you hope you have a wonderful outcome, which we did. And the fact that the Big 12 had an extra bowl eligible team certainly worked well in our favor. And ESPN has always been great about helping in all of bowl season. And so this just worked out where Big 12 has an extra team. West Virginia is a perfect fit for us in our bowl, and we're able to get a quality opponent in North Carolina. So it's one of those days where there seem to be moving parts all throughout the day, and then you get thrilled with the matchup that you have at the end.
Greg, do you have a follow-up?
Not right now. Let somebody else go. I'll jump in later.
Okay. We'll go to our next question to Cody Nesper.
Hey, Neal. I guess somebody's got to ask, but one, do you like mayonnaise? And two, are you willing to take the mayonnaise bath if you win?
I plead the fifth on the first question. And yes, I'll gladly take, if that means a 9th win, I'll gladly take the bath.
Our next question goes to Kevin Kinder.
Thanks. Mr. Morrison, can you tell us all of the entities that are involved in that day of bowl selections? You know, it kind of seems like a throwback to some of the old days when, you know, all the different bowls were jockeying for position. And I know you have the ties that you got to fulfill, but, you know, what people are on the phone or talking to each other? And are there proposals being made? Hey, match this team and that team. This is what we want.
No, I wouldn't say proposal. It's just as you work through all of the various scenarios, you try to come out with what might make the most sense. And with West Virginia sitting in close proximity to Charlotte, and I've always said that when teams, the best bowl experiences are when fans can drive. You have more fans, better environment. And so geography in this particular case worked in our favor.
We'll go to Mike Asti.
Okay, guys. Neal, just obviously you guys probably were aware of some projections that were out there before this landed on the bowl. So just your number one, just your initial reaction, and if there was any surprise there, because obviously this wasn't an initial tie-in and kind of involved some moving and shaking to make this happen. And then Number two, just on the opportunity with, as you said, this being a team that was ranked and is a team that is also a program that's been in, I believe, their 38th bowl. This is W's 40th, versus some of the projections of Group of Five opponents, like how that outlook would have been different for you, and then your reaction to this being the game.
Yeah. So last week was an interesting week, and I've done this long enough now where there's a lot of unknowns. The bowl system's changed quite a bit in the last few years. It used to be the case after your last game, you'd have a pretty good understanding of where you might go. For us, the pendulum kind of swung back, several different ways last week. And I was sitting, Dax had a basketball game last Sunday afternoon, and Ren called and said, hey, I know this is a little bit out of left field, but what do you think? And really where we were the whole time is we wanted to play a Power Five opponent in the bowl game. I felt like that was important, and that was really where we had centered our discussions on. And so I don't know if it was 12:30, 1 o'clock on Sunday when Ren called and presented, and I thought it was a tremendous opportunity. And for the same reason I said in the opening statement, it's a 6-hour drive from Morgantown, even closer for Southern West Virginia. There's I've done several events in Charlotte, and so I know there's a lot of Mountaineers there. It's an area that we recruit. It's in our 6-hour radius that we consider a local area. I thought if we could play an ACC team in a bowl game, it was a good fit, just because there's either regional rivalries or games that that our fans would be interested in. So when it came up, now the rest of Sunday was interesting. I didn't know. I was in a home visit with a recruit. You usually find out, and they can tell you this, you usually find out your bowl assignment pretty quick. And the ACC, which I think has been well documented here over the last day or so, took a long time. And so I didn't find out our bowl assignment until I was sitting in a home visit, 6:30 or so Eastern time on Sunday night. But couldn't be more pleased. Great location, great bowl game. I already talked to several head coaches who have been in the game and talked about the experience their players have. So really looking forward to that. And then just talking about North Carolina, yeah, extremely talented team. We're ranked for a good portion of the year. Have some high-end talented players. Several guys on that roster will get drafted. And so it's going to be an intriguing matchup for sure.
We will go back to Greg Hunter.
So Neal, you're in Vegas with Zach. So give us a little bit of insight onto his health, Preston Fox's health, any other injuries, and then you mentioned player retention. Can you give us a little bit of thought on who's going to and who's not going to be available for the bowl game?
Greg, you're testing my education levels here. You gave me about 3 questions in one. So let me start with the first one. So Zach had successful surgery, and he's well on the road to recovery. He's a big guy to be going around in crutches, but we got him out here, and I thought it was important for him to be able to experience this. The Campbell Trophy is so special. I think he's got a legitimate chance to win. I'm really upset. I think it's totally unfair that he wasn't in the finalist for the Remington Award, which goes to the top center. I've seen all those guys, and in due respect, I think he's the best center in the country. And I think a lot of NFL people believe that as well. And so really disappointing. Same feelings I had on the Remington Award I have on the Joe Moore Award that goes to the best offensive line in the country. I think it was short-sighted. We ended the regular season as the number 1 rushing offense in the country. We've given up one of the fewest number of sacks in the country. And I don't know what else you use to measure O-line success. And then Zach's been our leader of that group. And for him not to get in the Remington Award finals, I think is really a shame. And so I want to make sure I let my thoughts be known on that. And then back to Preston, I think it's too early to tell whether he's going to be available in the bowl game or not. He's recovering. It's a little bit of a process. So I don't know if we'll know that until we really get into game week on the 22nd. So I think he's questionable. As far as retention is going, that's something we spent a lot of time on last week, and it's going to be ongoing. It's a different world. Y'all follow it. Our hope is that we can hold on to our main players, and you're going to lose some. That's just normal, and you're going to lose some, but we hope we can keep them all together. And then, I'm sure we'll have a little bit of activity after the bowl game as well. And, but I'm pleased where it's at, but it's also very fluid, and it'll be fluid all the way to when the portal closes.
We'll go back to Mike Asti.
Hey, Neal, just on that note to kind of follow up, and I know you're not going to get into a particular player in particular, but just wondering your thoughts on, because of the way things go, there are players that may have been with your program in the past that then chose to leave, entered the portal with another program, and are now back in the portal. What is your philosophy on, if you had a player, he departed, and then would you be interested potentially in bringing a player like that back? Or is it kind of like once you break up with a girlfriend or boyfriend, you don't want to jump back in for whatever reason? Like, where is your thoughts on that? Because there are some players that are fans talk about, even though you maybe won't get into particulars.
Yeah, I think it's quality. That's a quality question, fair. And so it'll be on a case by case. A lot of it depends on how they exited the program. I think that's what's really important. How they handled themselves on the way out. Are there guys that we would welcome back? Yes, the answer would be yes. Are there some that we would not welcome back? And the answer to that would be yes as well. So it's going to be evaluated on case by case, but it's definitely not where, the answer is no, we'll never welcome, because that's not the case. There's some guys that left for some reasons that I understood. I would have loved to kept them, but I did understand kind of where they were at that point. And they handled themselves in the right manner and did it in the right way. And so if those guys wanted to come back, then we would welcome them back. But it's going to be on a case by case.
Our next question goes to Keenan Cummings.
Hey, Neal, you mentioned kind of a lot of the overlap with the players they have. How important is a game like this to recruiting? And secondly, you told me to ask this next time I talk to you. So what positions are you targeting in the transfer portal here moving forward?
Yeah, I think anytime that you play a game that's going to be nationally televised, and I haven't looked at all the time windows. I'm not sure if we go head to head with another game or not, but I don't think we do. I can see that. Yeah, so that's good. So that's the really intriguing part about bowl games is you're going, you don't, when we play on a Saturday night, we played Baylor. I think there was either between 6 and 8 games on during that time slot, where when you play in the bowl games, you're not going head to head. So your viewership's going to go up. You get the casual fan. And so anytime you have a lot of eyeballs on you, I think it's really important from a recruiting standpoint, really important from a branding standpoint. So answer that, yes. And so when you going back to the portal, and I'll give you some generalities just so you know. I think offensively we're going to be really careful. I think the thing that you all need to understand when you talk about portal, there's really 2 areas. You go for immediate help, and then there's also where you go and you're really, from a mindset standpoint, it's the same as high school recruiting. So guys with multiple years, right? And so what we've done is we've gone through and said, okay, this is our high school spots. And so like receiver, for instance, we currently have a certain number of commits at receiver. We probably were going to take 1 or 2 more. If there's a guy that goes into the portal, especially if we have familiarity with them, we recruited them coming out of high school and they have 3 or more years left, we'll count them as a high school in a high school spot. And we could potentially do that at the offensive line if it's a guy that has 3 or more years. We have 2 committed right now. We want to take 2 more high schools spots. So if there's somebody in the portal that's a fit for us, we could take them in a high school spot. So don't always, when you look at who we're taking in the portal, don't think, oh, that's going to be immediate help. No, that's a guy that maybe we think is a developmental guy that's going to replace one of our high school spots. But start on offense, receiver. We'd like to take 1 proven guy and put them in that room. that's a group that I think Bilal Marshall's done a tremendous job, and we really like the guys that we have in there. And I really think, we had a couple guys depart, early in the year, which was fine, but those young guys really got better as the year went. And so I'm excited about the potential of those young guys. And then defensively, we need numbers at linebacker, and those are to help on special teams and on linebacker. Some of the issues we've had on special teams been we don't have enough mid bodies, and we've been really thin in the secondary. And so in the secondary is going to be the primary area we're going to focus on in the portal. And we'd also like to add a pass rusher. So that's but the secondary is going to be first and foremost.
Cody Nesper.
Yeah, Neal, I want to ask about Mac Brown. So he's been a head coach, a Division I head coach, almost as long as you've been alive. Is it hard to kind of imagine being a head coach for as long as he has, and especially as successful as he's been?
Yeah, well, I don't think I'm going to make it that long. I'm going to say that right now. I'm not going to make it that long. So a lot of respect. There's a lot of wisdom there, and I'm not sure how old Coach is, but man, he's got a lot of energy. I've seen a lot of their games, and I've seen him in press conferences. He handles himself, and thought he did a really good job in TV when he was doing that as well. I was, as a coordinator, I faced him a couple times at Texas. So, yeah, he's done it for a really long time. If you look at it, I was just kind of looking at his bio yesterday and going through from when he was App and then all the way through his coaching career. And, I'll tell you what really stood out to me is the success. And I knew this because I was old enough to understand, but the success he had in North Carolina the first time was really incredible.
Kevin Kinder.
For Mr. Morrison, in your time working with bowl games, how has it changed? I mean, we see obviously some of the ways that they have changed from the outside, from the inside, not only selection, but the operation, what bowls can do, how they promote the game. What things have changed that you've seen?
Well, it's actually changed a lot in the short period that I've been a part of. It's been 4 years. I was in college athletics for a long time and in the pros for a while. And this is came to the foundation in 2019. And even in that short period, we've seen change. I think what I do respect is the fact that, like I said earlier, we're not unlike conferences where in a conference team A competes against team B, C, D, and so forth. But you also ask them to cooperate under the conference umbrella. And it's all held together by trust. And that's what we try to do in the bowl season. And I think, it's just like college athletics over the last 4 years and all the changes we've seen there. It's just an evolving enterprise, and we've continued to see change in the bowl side.
Our next question is from Bob Hertzel.
Yeah, hey, Neal, question, and this is something that's kind of wondered about in retaining players. How do you the trust is not part of your department and all. How do you coordinate and corral the recruiting of who gets what and who they should be offering money to, or how does that work?
Well, it's a complicated process first off, and
it's a complicated question.
Yeah, and so where college football is right now, it's I don't even know how to explain it, Bob. Really, it's we're in a unique time where I'm a proponent. You all know this, like players should get paid. There should be, we're in a business model where college football has never been more profitable, and the guys on the field definitely deserve their share. And I think we're at a point where we really got to evaluate how we're doing that, because the current model is just not a very good one. And so we think we've got to really evaluate how we're compensating our guys. And I hadn't had a chance to look at what Charlie Baker put out today. I know he put out something kind of addressing some of this, but revenue sharing is definitely something that needs to be evaluated. And how do we get these guys compensated in a way that's fair is something that's going on. But no, the trust is not part of anything to do with our athletic department. They're a partner and a great partner, and something that's extremely important right now. And we're in the process of continuing to raise funds and to try to grow the amount of dollars we have that can benefit our players. But there's some different metrics that they use to determine what market value is.
Our final question today comes from Mike Kazaza.
Danny, if I can go back to you for a second, just on the selection process. I'm curious, when you have an opening like this, what access do you have to other conferences and other schools? And then I guess that goes both ways. What access do they have to you? And do schools and alumni leaders and athletic directors, do they lobby and say, look at our offensive stats, look at our fan geography, proximity, all of those variables too?
Well, probably all of the above, but mainly it's conversations. Who's got excess teams? Who's got teams, not enough teams to fill their bowls? And then what makes the most sense as far as geography and matchups. And so it really came down in this situation to geography and a great matchup between two excellent programs and with great leaders, both named Brown.
I believe Kevin Kinder, did you want to close this out? You came in there just a minute ago.
Yes, really quickly. Neal, one question about the game itself and the reaction. You know, the narrative the past few years of some of the non-championship bowls being lessened in importance. What was your team's reaction? What was the program's reaction when you've been able to talk to some guys and tell them, hey, we're going here?
Yeah, we had a team meeting yesterday morning and really positive. I think guys are excited. They like the location. A lot of their families are going to be able to drive to the game, which is important. And the matchup, you know, I think they're excited about the matchup. So, yeah, our guys are ready to get to work, and they're enjoying a little downtime, which is needed after a long season. But they're ready to get back and looking forward to facing a quality team, working to get our 9th win.